Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful boxing fans, let me ask you a question. Please let me know your answers in the comments section, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely love listening and hearing your guys' thoughts. Let's get into it. Let me ask you this. What if, just what if, think with me, let your mind wander, because this is far from an impossible possibility. What if Jake Paul knocks out Gervonta Davis? Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, the options and possibilities for this fight, they're endless. But one thing I do promise you, Gervonta Davis is not knocking out Jake Paul. That is one thing I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, yes, respect to Gervonta's boxing skills. Yes, he's more experienced. Yes, he's this. Yes, he's a former he is a champion. He fought at the elite level. But we're talking about a 5'4" man. We're talking about a 30-year-old 5'4" man with, basically, if you think about it, I mean, the size difference between him and Jake Paul, I mean, we always say that size matters. And of course size matters. And that is why we have weight class for a reason. But in this fight, we're not just talking about regular size. We're talking about someone who's 5'4" with 65-inch reach versus, or 66-inch reach, versus someone who's nearly 6'2" with nearly 10-inch arm length more than Gervonta Davis. And to make matters worse for Gervonta, Jake is younger. Jake is actually younger, bigger, stronger. I mean, guys, let's think about it. Just think with me. This fight is going to take place in November 2025. Okay? In November 2024, just exactly 1 year before this fight take place, Jake Paul weighed in versus Mike Tyson at nearly 250 pounds. He weighed in, I believe, at 240 something. Jake Paul is a big boy. He is a massive guy. The man, when he's bulking up and when he's doing his strength work, the man goes up to nearly 240, 250. Jake Paul might be many things. Call him whatever you want. YouTuber, this, that, even though I don't believe that's the case. Jake Paul is a pro boxer. But one thing you can't call Jake Paul is small. I mean, Jake Paul's head is this big. Jake Paul, I mean, he's built like in a thick way. He's not a slender, tall guy. He is an absolute unit. The man is an absolute unit. And just think about the moment. I mean, you're going to see it now in the face-off. They're probably going to do a press conference very soon. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, the size difference will be absolutely ridiculous. And that is why this is an exhibition. This is not a pro fight for this main reason. What can I say? Is Jake Paul a pure heavyweight? No. But Jake Paul is a fully fledged cruiserweight, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Paul is a full-fledged cruiserweight. The man is nearly a heavyweight, and in the off-season, outside of camp, he is a heavyweight. Make no mistake about it. Gervonta Davis, I mean, if you dress the man in a suit, and if you dip him in the swimming pool, and if he gets out wet and drenched, and you put him on the scale, the man will barely be 155. He is a very small man. And the moment that Gervonta, I believe, goes over 150 to 155, he would become fat. So don't let the 3-division champion, guys, let's think about it. We all love Gervonta Davis. The man is one of the faces of the sport. But Gervonta Davis put a rehydration clause on Ryan Garcia because he said that Ryan Garcia is a giant, is a bully. And Gervonta and Ryan Garcia is what? 5'10", 160, 165. A 5'10", 165 guy, 5'9", 5'10". I mean, I met Ryan Garcia in New York. I'm bigger than Ryan Garcia. I'm taller than him. I'm thicker than him. Ryan Garcia was so slender, I couldn't believe it. Because when I saw him fight Devin Haney, they all said that Devin Haney is a big guy and Ryan looked a lot bigger. But Ryan, I mean, he's not short, but he's literally this slender. I mean, his waist is like this. His thighs are like this. The man is so small. The man is so slim, slender. And Gervonta Davis considered him a giant. And that is why he put a rehydration clause on him. Mario Barrios even. Mario Barrios, who's 5'11", probably 170 or 165 in the off-season. Gervonta Davis considered him a giant, the Incredible Hulk. And that's why he put him in a rehydration clause. Never mind Jake Paul, someone who's, I mean, exactly a year ago, when he fought Tyson, not even a year ago, 9.5 months ago, or 10 months ago, Jake was 240 something. Jake is like nearly 6'2". His head is this big, dense bones. The boy is thick. How do you think this fight will look like? I promise you, Gervonta is not going to stand his ground and sit in the high guard. I mean, he was running away from Lamont Roach, a 130-pounder. And Lamont Roach, who's a 130-pounder, in Gervonta's last fight, was catching and shooting in very short ranges and small ranges, and he was hurting Gervonta Davis. How crazy is that, ladies and gentlemen? Lamont Roach, a 5'6", 130-pounder, was catching and shooting and hurting Gervonta Davis in close range. What do you think Jake Paul will do? And how do you think Gervonta Davis will do versus Jake Paul if he was moving all around the ring versus Lamont Roach? I promise you, one thing I guarantee you, and I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, Gervonta Davis will be moving all night long. You know what he's going to look to do? He's going to look to move around the ring from the first bell to the final bell. And if he can catch Jake with some big shots, then that's a win. I'm telling you, this fight won't be counted on their records. So Gervonta Davis won't care how the fight will look like. You know what he cares about? The dough. How much money he's getting paid. And I can't blame the man. I cannot blame the man. The man reached a certain stage in his career now where he's like, listen, you know. He even like talked about it, I believe, in a few interviews where he talked about how much damage he took in gyms since he was a kid. So now he's like, you know, I'm not really, you know, that competitive desire and fire in him is gone. And there's nothing wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. That is simply what boxing does to you. It is the toughest, most grueling, loneliest sport on the planet. And Gervonta Davis has been boxing since he was like 5 years old. So you're talking about someone getting punched in the head for 25 years. Enough is enough. Not everyone can do this sport until they're like 45, competing at the top level, with still the desire and fire to fight the best. I mean, Gervonta Davis, if you actually think about it, the man's been telling us, he's been telling you and me for years now that he's not interested in Devin, he's not interested in Shakur, he's not interested in all these big names. Why? Not because he doesn't believe that he can beat them, but the man is so afraid to lose his undefeated record that he's like, hey, you know what? I don't even have the fire to do this anymore. And I don't want to lose, especially don't want to lose with no fire in me. I mean, if I'm going to lose, I might as well lose with me being 100% motivated. And that is why Gervonta Davis will not fight Shakur ever, or Devin. And if you actually think about it, he said that he wouldn't fight Devin, and one of the main reasons why he wouldn't fight Devin is because Devin is big. He's too big for him. He said that Devin is a 147-pounder now. But Jake Paul is 100 pounds heavier than Devin. But you know why he's taking this fight? The money is bigger, and this fight will not be counted on Gervonta's record. And that is what matters to Gervonta. Making the most money and keeping that O on his record. I can't blame him, even though that is a disgusting and dirty move to just protect your undefeated record. Because if you think about it, let me ask you, beautiful boxing fan, yes, you. Do you care about your favorite fighter being undefeated? Do you actually care about? Like, for example, who are my favorite fighters? Terence Crawford, Canelo, David Benavidez, Arthur Beterbiev. I love these guys. Let's say they're all undefeated, and let's say they all lost their undefeated records in a year. Will I be upset? Of course not. I wouldn't care. Why? Because I never, ever, ever started to admire or support a boxer because they are undefeated. Who cares? Muhammad Ali, the GOAT of all GOATs. Manny Pacquiao, one of the GOATs. Look how many losses they have. And they are admired and loved by fans 1,000,000 times more than your favorite undefeated fighter. And that is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. So all I'm saying is this. Getting back to the main point that we're talking about. I'm going to spend probably the next 2 days talking about this fight. Getting back to the main point, ladies and gentlemen. Jake Paul, make no mistake. The man, depends on the rules. Will they actually wear headgears? We're about to find out the rules now, very shortly. But if they're both going to fight in 10-ounce gloves with no headgear, 10 rounds, call me crazy. Call me insane. Call me a casual. Call me what you want to call me. But I think that Jake Paul 1,000,000% can knock out Gervonta Davis. What are we even talking about? We're talking about a cruiserweight versus a small 135er. If you actually think about it, Lamont Roach is a 130-pounder and he looked bigger than Gervonta Davis on the night. So in all actuality, Gervonta Davis is a 30-pounder. We're talking about someone whose their peak weight is 130, 135 versus someone with their peak weight 200 to 230 pounds, 240 pounds. Jake Paul did bulk up to fight Mike Tyson, but he didn't look fat. He looked thick. He always looks thick. But listen, Jake Paul is a 200-pound fighter. He's a cruiserweight. He is a cruiserweight. So make no mistake, when it comes to size, this is a mismatch. But when it comes to skills, it will not be a mismatch. Like if we're talking about Jake and Gervonta with the same boxing skills and their sizes are exactly the same, Jake would annihilate Gervonta. But because Gervonta is experienced and this and that and he's a champion, he's not going to get annihilated. But I swear to you, I would not be shocked and surprised if Jake Paul catches Gervonta. But you know why he probably won't catch him? Because Gervonta Davis will be moving all night long. And probably when this fight finishes, the whole world will say Gervonta Davis ran from Jake Paul. I'm telling you, I can see it, ladies and gentlemen. But tell me, you, beautiful boxing fan, tell me, how do you see this fight? How do you see this fight when you think about it now? How do you think this fight will look like on fight night? Please let me know. And what in the world is going on in boxing? What can you say?